Welcome to Conversations with Kay. I'm Kay Ryder, and every week I talk with Vermonters who are leaders in the fields of government, healthcare, education, the arts, and community life. And welcome to our radio listeners, 99.3 FM, WBVT LP. And our guests are from the Lyric Theater, Vermont's great show-producing group, and the Broadway musical world. And I have as our guest Chris Brown, and Chris is the assistant director of the show, The Addams Family, and Martin Hain, who's the music director of the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Kay.
Nice to have you here. Chris, when and where will the Addams Family be performed in Burlington?
Yeah, we go up at the Flynn Theater November 7th through 10th.
Okay.
So it's a Thursday night through a Sunday.
Okay, do you have a matinee?
We do. We have matinees both on Saturday and Sunday.
Great. And what time are the shows?
The matinees are at 1 o'clock and the evening shows are at 7:30.
Okay, great. How can someone buy tickets for the Addams Family?
Sure. The Flynn box office, flynntickets.org, 86 Flynn, or head to the Lyric website and there's a lot of direction there as well.
Okay, great. And what is your website, by the way? It's a good one, I know.
lyrictheatervt.org.
Okay. VT capitalized or just
Nope,
plain?
just
okay.
plain, but the theater is RE.
Okay,
Yeah.
that RE, that's the, so Lyric
That's the
Theater,
catch.
right,
Yep.
it's an RE. Well, that's good for people to know.
Yes.
Absolutely. What is the Addams Family based on, actually?
The Addams Family is, well, it was originally based off a set of cartoons. Later on, it was made into a television program. It was a black and white television program, so it must have been 60s, 70s. And I believe that was the last version of it. Do you know of any other versions
It's the
of
last
it?
television version, but there's been a few movie
some
versions.
movies,
There's
okay.
been 2 feature films. There's also a cartoon version coming out just next month.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Now, it was on Broadway, too, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
The musical, yes.
Musical,
Right. Yep. I remember, I mean, they're spooky people. I mean, I remember the Charles Addams cartoons. The one that got me the most was the little girl Wednesday and the little boy Pugsley. And they have a play guillotine, and she's putting her doll in the guillotine, and he's ready to do it, you know. And you know, she's just fascinated, and he has this look on his face, you know.
Yeah.
And I laughed, and I thought to myself, this is not really funny. And that was kind of what Charles Addams was like.
Yeah, a little bit of a dark sense of humor and kind of taking the traditional kids and making a spin on it.
Oh, absolutely. How would you describe the Addams Family briefly? I mean, just how would you describe them?
The family themselves?
Yeah, just the family.
Yeah, they, at its base, they're a very nuclear family. They love each other, they support each other, but they happen to live in a mansion in the middle of Central Park that's haunted, and they kind of make their own rules. They live the life that they want to live, and they really enjoy the spooky and the mysterious and the macabre and a little bit creepy, and to them, that's normal.
Right. And they have unusual names too, don't they?
do.
The little girl's name, Wednesday. Wednesday's child is full of woe, and she can create woe for a lot of people if she wants to, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so Morticia. Now, who's the head of the gang?
Well, Morticia is Gomez is the father, Morticia is the mother. Morticia pretty much runs the show. You know, what she wants, she gets most of the time.
Right. Now, since you have not put on the Addams Family before, this is the first time for the Lyric Theater to do this show. I'd like to talk a little bit about the way the show is, the plot, if you will. We're not going to tell everything, of course, but I would like to talk, kind of set the scene for you a little bit. Tell us something about the music of the Addams Family.
Well, the music uses a lot of styles. The styles are very much related to the characteristics of the individual characters. Gomez's music has a Spanish sort of flair to it, and Wednesday's music is a very poppy sound, a very, almost light rock, very upbeat. The music is very entertaining throughout, and it varies quite a bit.
What about Morticia? What's her music like?
Oh, Morticia has a couple of songs. I'm not sure how to describe them in style. She sings a song about secrets, about, you can't keep any secrets. It's not good for a relationship. And then she has a song called Just Around the Corner in the second act, where she's talking about how gruesome things relieve her stress. And that's a very fun song. Actually has a kick line at the end of it, a sort of very Broadway type style number.
Right. Do you have is there a theme for the Addams Family?
A theme?
Yes.
There's multiple themes throughout here. A family, just the family relationships, about dealing with change and how families and deal with change. Certainly a relationship, the theme about whether or not it's good to keep secrets from people, which is a good discussion, I think,
There's a lot about embracing differences and accepting the unknown and figuring that all out. Yeah.
Do you have a theme, musical theme?
Oh, you're talking musical themes.
Oh, I'm talking musical theme. That's okay.
Yes, well, there is the traditional theme, the da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. You have to make sure you get there in time if you want to hear that, because it starts at the overture and you don't hear it again until the very end. There were some pretty strict limitations put on the use of that theme for this show.
Interesting. I'm sure that there are limitations many times when you put on shows.
Sure. Yeah. Yes, and this is not specifically to lyric. It was on the show itself. The creator of that theme did not want to release the rights to it.
Oh, it's so snappy.
Yes. I'm not sure what else you would use it for.
Right. I don't know either what you would do. And then you have music for the Tango of Love. Now, is this sexy music?
It's very sensual music. It actually happens near the end of the show, after most of the conflicts have been resolved. It's sort of the symbolism of the resolution of the conflict between Gomez and Morticia. They use the dance.
The tango, of course, you can you can visualize people, coming together for the tango. That's what it's for.
It's one of the larger dance breaks in the show. It's 3 minutes long.
Wow. Yeah. Probably you would need that. Yeah. It's good. It's good music. Since this is the first time that Lyric Theater is doing the Addams Family, I'd like to talk a little bit about the story itself, so we can kind of get into it for people. And I'm talking with Chris Brown, who's the assistant director of the Addams Family for the Lyric Theater this fall, and with Martin Hain. And Martin is the music director of the show. So let's talk about how things go. You have a very different kind of family. The Addams Family is obviously quite unique. And the ordinary things that we think about in our lives, which can be a little bit stressful, for them and other people would be quite stressful, I would think. So Wednesday falls in love. And she not only falls in love, I mean, she falls in love with a normal guy, someone from the outside world, somebody from outside this house in Central Park. And this creates problems, doesn't it, when she brings him home, and there are two big problems involved, aren't there?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the big parts is how to introduce them. Wednesday doesn't know if they're going to get along. She doesn't know what the families will think of each other. And she wants to marry this boy, but they can't do that until they figure that out. So that is one big thing. It causes some friction in the family, for sure.
Right, right. And is there special music when they meet the families meet up? I mean, this normal, quite conservative mother and father and Morticia and Gomez. Is there special music for that scene?
Not particularly for when they meet.
There's a fun song called One Normal Night, where everybody wants
True.
the night to be as normal as possible,
That's
whatever that means for them.
That's actually sung by Wednesday, in one section of Sung by Wednesday, talking with Gomez and other members of her family, not Morticia. Morticia's involved too, because Morticia doesn't, that's the other conflict here, is that Wednesday doesn't want to tell Morticia that she wants
Morticia
to
does
marry
not
this.
know that Wednesday really wants to marry this guy.
Correct.
She has told her father. Now, why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, as he's daddy's girl. And she also is she is convinced that her mother won't accept this relationship.
Okay, interesting. And Morticia is the head of the gang, sort of. So that she's trying to get her father's approval and see where she can go from there. So you have this this very funny, I would assume,
Yes.
meal. You have this very funny gathering of these people, and I can imagine everybody's sort of looking at each other, And what is that true?
Yeah, we don't actually get a lot of the actual meal. We get the aftermath of the meal in the show. So we assume that the meal was probably very awkward.
To say the
Little
Well, there are
stressful.
some moments before the meal too, where
Correct.
we see the awkwardness between the two families.
Yeah.
And they're definitely, the Addams family are very strange to the Beinecke's, which is Lucas's family, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Morticia is not very pleased with the Beinecke's.
All you have to think about it is my big fat Greek wedding.
True.
I mean, and there were enough problems with that,
Yep,
and
yep.
yet they were all Americans, and they weren't creepy, and there you are.
True.
And then the big problem in this whole scene is that for the first time in marriage, Gomez has kept a secret from Morticia.
Morticia she suspects that he's keeping a secret too. So they play this game called Full Disclosure, where they drink from the sacred chalice and they have to tell the truth. And so, Morticia wants Gomez to drink, so he will spill out what he's keeping from her.
Right.
And she knows Wednesday's keeping a secret too. She wants Wednesday to drink, but then by sort of by accident. Actually, it's Pugsley that wants Wednesday because
Yeah.
Pugsley
Pugsley.
wants the whole thing to fail so that she
Yeah.
doesn't lose Wednesday.
Why doesn't he want to lose Wednesday?
Well, because that's who he likes to play with, and Wednesday tortures him all the time, and he enjoys torture
Yep.
tremendously.
He's afraid that this
So-
boy is going to take Wednesday away from him.
So he spikes the cup
Spikes
that
the
they're all
cup.
going to pass around to
Yes.
tell the truth. And
Yep.
my goodness.
Well, he spikes it thinking that Wednesday's going to drink it, and instead of Wednesday drinking it, Lucas's mother drinks it. So she just lets out with everything that's been contained inside of her for years.
Oh my.
It's a very dramatic and entertaining end to the first act.
So the brother is jealous. I'm supposed that perhaps even he would be horrified by what happens.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, everybody is quite astounded by what happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Wednesday, what does she do? She finally blurts out her secret,
Yep.
She does.
and that causes chaos, sort of, for everybody.
Yep. A lot of that chaos is Morticia, because she gets to validate that the secret's been being kept from her. And
Right.
part of their wedding vows are that they don't keep secrets.
Oh.
And it's the first time they've ever kept a secret from each other. Yep.
Wow, that's quite a record, isn't it? I wouldn't like to have my husband keep secrets from me, but I'm sure at one time or another we all do.
Sure.
So then we have these characters called the ancestors.
Yes, the
And
ancestors.
who are they?
So the ancestors are relations of the Addams family who have passed, and they go all the way back to cavemen ancestors, and we have ancestors. We have Puritan ancestors. We have conquistadors.
Yeah.
So it's all through time, and they're all costumed from the period that they were. That they lived in, but they're now all deceased, and they actually can communicate with the living Addams family. The Beinecke's cannot see them, so there is this constant play between the ancestors and the Addams that the Beinecke's can't see.
That would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and the reason they come into the show is Fester, good old Uncle Fester, wakes them up to help figure out all of the chaos.
Fester's the butler, right?
No, Fester is
Uncle
Gomez.
Fester?
Yeah, Gomez's brother.
Oh, okay.
Uncle Fester with the light bulb?
Uncle Fester.
Okay, right, yeah, I got it.
So he dances on their grave to wake them up and then locks them out of the crypt and says, you can't go back until we figure this out.
So the ancestors, everybody ends up, all these people, part of these people have told the absolute truth. And everybody's pretty horrified by the whole situation. Would like to just run out into Central Park, probably. They're all together in this creepy house for the night. And where do we go from there?
Well, we start Act 2 with the aftermath of the dinner party. So Lucas's parents, Alice and Mal, have an exchange because what she drank, the acrimonium, has, as Martin said, kind of unleashed some things in her, and so they are dealing with the aftermath of that. Morticia wants to leave Gomez, and Wednesday wants to run away from home. So people are trying to leave the house.
A number of conflicts that have resulted that have to be resolved throughout the second act.
Yeah.
So we go about trying to resolve these things. And I love the way that Gomez and Morticia come together again. The tango scene.
Tango.
It is.
I mean, very often in a musical, there's a big scene where somebody sings to somebody else, or if Gene Kelly's dancing, or Fred Astaire, they dance, you know, and that brings everybody together again. And so we have the big tango scene. Does she melt?
Well, yes. I mean, she's actually already melted or succumbed prior to the tango. So the tango is more of the celebration. Gomez actually resolves the situation by saying that you've kept a secret before. And she says, no, I haven't. And he says, well, what will you give me if I prove to you? And of course she has. I'm not going to give that secret away. No. As a result, she owes him a dance, and so they do the tango.
There you go. Now I'm talking with Chris Brown, who's the assistant director of the Addams Family, which is the show for Lyric Theater this fall, and with Martin Hain, and he is the music director for the Addams Family. Now, people don't like change, do they?
Change is tough. Change is tough.
And particularly, this is a very topical show for today or any time, because we all have our groups.
Yes,
and if somebody's going to marry from outside our group, somebody in our family comes, like think of the movie, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? I mean, there you go. Somebody's coming, and this person is not of the group, and you know, well, so they've fallen in love. Well, so what, you know? This is not right, you know? And we still have that today, don't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We do. It's not just marriage, it's just plain tolerance of other people with different views, yes.
Right. And today we have a situation where not only are we dealing with intolerance, but we're dealing with the fact that more and more people just are just sticking to their own group and not even hardly communicating with other kinds of people or other cultures, don't we? We have that.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of this show, the Addams Family probably would never have met the Beinecke's. They had no reason to. They never thought they would enjoy them, and it was this Wednesday and Lucas falling in love that brought them together and really force them to look outside of what their normal to realize that people are different, and that can be okay.
Yep.
And it's exactly the same for the Beinecke's. You know, they feel the same way about the Addams that the Addams feel about the Beinecke's.
Yeah.
You know, it's very interesting. You know, it's a very interesting show because it contains a lot of these themes that are very pertinent to, you know, life. You don't really notice it quite as much as you think you would because it's such a funny show. It's a very, very funny show. But these themes are there, and when you sit back and start thinking about it, it's
Yeah, you're dealing with very big issues,
yes.
and we can laugh, and it's just like the guillotine. You know, it's funny, but it's not funny.
It's
you know?
nice to be able to laugh about it and think about it as
Yeah.
opposed to getting upset and thinking
Right.
about
Oh
it.
yeah. There's a tendency now, particularly today, to just sort of get upset at something that someone says, and if you don't agree with it.
Yep.
And you know, this show as this show ends, it's funny and it's wonderful. But I think also it's talked about this problem, and they have to somehow, they're going to go on. Life is going to be different.
Yep.
And this poor Lucas, I feel sorry for this guy. I mean, he's sort of a quiet character, isn't he, in some ways?
Yeah, but he has to learn how to stand up for himself too.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Wednesday's a very strong character, and his parents are very strong characters as well. So he's got to figure out if he wants something, how does he go after it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he wants her.
He wants her.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Now, we have a lot of things going on in the Lyric Theater always, and I'd like to ask both of you, what have you done for the Lyric Theater in the past?
Sure. My first show with Lyric was Susical, and so that went up spring of 2006. Since then, I've been in 7 shows. So my last show I was in was Mary Poppins. But I've also been able to do some other stuff on the other side of the stage. So I've worked on sound, I've worked on promotions, hair, I've worked in choreography, and this is my first stint in the directing portion of it. But even outside of shows, I'm on the board of directors. So I'm the chair of the board of directors. I've been on the board, this will be my 6th year, and really focusing on membership and also nominating for the organization.
Great. Well, that's a long history.
It is, yeah.
He's done a lot since 2006.
Since 2006,
He's done a lot.
absolutely.
And Martin, you have a long history too.
So my first involvement was actually in 2000 as a parent of a cast member for the Peter Pan. And just sitting and watching the rehearsals was what got us interested in becoming more involved with both my wife and I. And my eldest son has been in several shows as well. I was on stage for a number of shows: Jesus Christ Superstar, Secret Garden, one of the Josephs, and then I had the opportunity to be the assistant music director for the last production of Fiddler, and I had such a great time that I've been doing music direction ever since. My first show as a music director was Beauty and the Beast. And
Good show.
I've done quite a few since then: Titanic, Les Miserables, Mary Poppins, another version of Joseph and Oliver. I just did Christmas Story and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels as well. So I really enjoy the music direction part of it, and I've been heavily involved in that.
Well, that's great. You work very, very closely with the choreographer, I assume.
We do. We all work together very
do.
closely.
Yeah.
I also, since I'm there at rehearsal, I have been known to stick my nose into the choreography as well as the blocking.
Yep.
So.
It really is a collaborative, creative process.
Yeah.
It has to be, and we're stronger because of it.
Yeah. What I like about the Lyric Theater is that people like you described your history there, Chris. I mean, people are on one side of the curtain. You're out there, here I am, I'm singing, I'm dancing, whatever, and then the backstage, and people work there and help out, and you have a lot of volunteers, don't you?
Absolutely. Every show takes at least 200 volunteers just
Wow.
for the show. And then we have 2 shows a year, but we have the business of the organization, our board and committee work, is at least another 100 volunteers. And there's obviously some overlap, but yeah, we are very much fueled by volunteers.
That 200 number, so in this show our cast is
28.
28. So
Yep.
the rest of that 200 is all behind the scenes. It's a lot of people working behind the scenes.
That's great. Well, my friend Doug Veeman's working on the sets
Yep.
this time.
Yep.
And my old friend Pat Boer is doing the publicity
Absolutely.
for the Addams Family. I've
Yep.
worked with Pat a long time now, and she's very, very good. And
she's the
she always
best.
gets everybody here.
She
you know,
does.
That's good to have happen too.
Yep.
So, why did you choose the Addams Family for your 95th show? And by the way, congratulations to all the folks,
Yeah.
Lyric, Pat, present and past. I mean, that's a tremendous record there, 95.
That's a big number. One thing for picking this show was we've never done it before. And we wanted to bring a show. It's newer in the world of shows that comes out. We really, many of us on the team have seen other productions of it and just really enjoyed it. It goes up right after Halloween, and then we have a very Halloween spooky feel, so the timing fit right. And it's really fun to get a cast with a mix of ages, so we really get to have a broad base of appeal for people who want to be a part of it. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So the director of the show is Frida Tutt, who's been involved in, talk about longtime member
Yeah.
of Lyric. I believe she said she's been involved in some way in every show since
1998, I believe.
1998.
Wow.
Yep.
This is their first time she's directing a show, and so she. Well, this is your first time as an assistant director too,
yeah.
and they both are just really into the process and enjoying it tremendously. Frida had a lot to do with the selection of the show. She was looking for a show that was fun and entertaining. I was pretty sure she was looking for a show that was a new show. She didn't want to do a repeat show that had been done, previously by Lyric.
So quickly now, you have words and music. It's a musical, but you have to just really work together on all this, don't you?
We do. Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
The rehearsal process, scheduling it, and trying to cover all the ground that has to be covered is a very. We have to work together on that quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it fun?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We put hundreds of hours into a show, and there's many reasons why we do it, but one is because it's fun.
Right. That's
Yeah.
why you do it. That's why
Yeah.
you do it. Well, thank you both for coming. And if you out there, our audience, if you want a fun evening, a little bit different kind of an evening, go to the Addams Family. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks to the folks from Lyric 95 Productions. Thank you for coming, and thank you for joining us on Conversations with Kay.